In this video, we're going to talk about Spring Valley here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we're going to jump into Google Maps and show you everything there is to know about it. So let's get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in the Las Vegas area and the Las Vegas area real estate market, hit subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, and you'll be the first to know for everything that's happening here in the area. Hi, my name is Anthony, and I'm a former attorney turned real estate professional here in Las Vegas, and every day my team and I get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you looking to make their move to Las Vegas, and we absolutely love it. Look, if you're looking to move in the next 9 to 90 days, go ahead and shoot us a text, give us a call, book a Zoom call down below, and we'd be more than happy to make your move as smooth as possible. So as I said, in today's video, we are going to talk all about Spring Valley. And Spring Valley is one of the suburbs here in the Las Vegas area. It's a fantastic place to live. It's centrally located, and it's got so much to do there and so close to everything that you want to do in the Las Vegas area. So let's quit talking about it. Let's jump onto my computer. Let's get into the Google Maps and let's figure it out. Here we go. All right, so here we are in the Google Maps. We're going to talk about Spring Valley. Now, Spring Valley is a suburb of the Las Vegas area. Spring Valley is not its own city. It's simply a part of the Clark County system. So Spring Valley does have its own set of commissioners that give representation to it. It's a fantastic place to live. So, as you know, and I've talked about before, Las Vegas is actually pretty small. If you go here from north to south is just about 28 miles, okay? And then west to east, it's about 26 to 28 miles depending on where you go, but it's a pretty small geographic area. The Spring Valley area is this area right here that we have highlighted. So it runs across a street called Sahara. This is a street called Decatur. This is a street called Warm Springs, and it goes up to Wallapai. So it's almost a square here within there. Now you see, I have a couple of places marked out in here. One of the big things about Spring Valley is that it isn't like a Summerlin or most of the parts of Henderson where you're inundated by master planned communities. So everything has a feel, a look, a reason for being. The Spring Valley area is really awesome because it's a lot of mixed use. You have some master plan communities, you have some smaller developments which have their own HOAs, and you also have a lot of just houses that were built up, a lot of custom houses, and especially a lot of houses on big lot sizes. You can find some, over an acre, 2 acre parcels there with great houses. It is centrally located to everything. We get a lot of people who live in Spring Valley who actually work in the hospitality industry and who work on the strip because of its location. But let's talk about a couple of the big master plan communities there. So we'll start up here, and this is the lakes, okay? The lakes in Spring Valley, actually, if you'll look here, does have its own lake system. It's got a man-made lake here. It's really cool. You can use electric boats on there. Some of the houses that are along the lake have their own docks. It's just a really cool little area. Very nice houses, very nice area to live. Just got a lot of cool things. Down over here, you'll see is Rhodes Ranch. Now, Mr. Rhodes is an actual person, and he developed this big area here. Most of it is guard gated with an actual human guard, not just a gate like most places. It's got a lot of fantastic homes within there, some of them custom, some of them part of developments within the Rhodes Ranch area, but just a really nice place to live. There's a lot of buildup up there. Now, this, and back in the 80s and 90s, This area right here. So there's these are two distinct communities. One is Spanish Trails and one is Spanish Hills. Now, Spanish Trails has its own golf course within there. It's fantastic. It's a great place to live. It also is guard gated with a human guard. Beautiful place to live. And let me tell you, back in the day, if you lived in Spanish Hills or Spanish Trails, woo, you were really made it here in Vegas. It's a lot of developed homes, so you'll find a lot of constructions by builders. So they're not custom homes. Some of them are semi-custom. Some of them are tract housing. Now over here in Spanish Hills, this is where you get some big properties and big mansions. All of those are custom homes, and actually they tear them down and they rebuild them all the time. You will see new development going on there as they update the building as you go on there. In addition to that, let me tell you, this area right here, this is our Chinatown. Now we actually have a established Chinatown area that was developed to be a Chinatown in an area built up with a lot of the Pan-Asian place. There's a lot of Asian Americans who live in the area. We have a lot of tourism that comes from the Asian community. And at some point in time, they wanted to develop an area that celebrated that and that offered a place to go, a centralized place to go, where you can find everything that would feel more traditional. So in here, there's tons of great restaurants, and there's always new ones opening. But you have anything from the very traditional cuisine to Americanized Asian cuisine. So there's a little bit of an eclectic mix there and something for everybody, but it is awesome. There's just a lot of really cool places in the Chinatown area, and it actually overlaps. Part of it is in Spring Valley, part of it is in the suburb of Paradise, so it straddles that line. So like I said, one of the really cool things about the area is that it is a mixed use. Your Summerlin and your Henderson, it's pretty much community, master planned. Everything has a rhyme and reason. Here you have a lot of mixed use. You can have a mall or strip mall. You can have restaurants. You can have a business. You can have these things. And right next to it is a lot of development. So it makes it really exciting. There's a lot more 24-hour accessibility there and just a lot of great things to do. So let's talk about where is Spring Valley in comparison to everything. So as I started this out, one of the really cool things and why we see a lot of people who work in the hospitality industry and who work on the strip. So this is the strip. This is your 3.5 mile by 1 mile strip. And, you know, we employ tens of thousands of people on the strip, and everybody needs a place to live. If you work here, wouldn't it be really nice to live from the middle of Spring Valley? Let's just take to the middle. You're less than 4.5 miles away from potentially work. That's pretty cool and a big reason why people move there. If you were going to the strip, you would not get on the freeway. There is absolutely zero reason. There's several big streets here. So this street here is Flamingo, which takes you to the strip. This street is Tropicana, which would take you to the strip. Then you have Desert Inn and Spring Mountain. Spring Mountain is the street that Chinatown basically is on. But Spring Mountain takes you all the way to the strip. And as we'll show you, Spring Mountain is where the Fashion Show Mall is. So just like I said, it's the accessibility. If you're going to work on the strip, Spring Mountain's a great place to live. Or if you're working in any of these dozens or hundreds of businesses that are located here, it's a great place to live. The housing is a little more affordable in some of the areas. In some of the areas, like the Spanish Hills and Spanish Trails, you're still paying premium dollars. In the lakes, you're still paying premiums. Rhodes Ranch, you're still paying premiums. all of those areas, but in a lot of these other areas where it isn't a big master plan or it isn't a huge HOA, you have a little bit better housing prices. So let's take a look at, like I said, one of the big things that we look at here, this has become quite the sports town. So here you are in Spring Valley. This is Allegiant. Okay, so Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play. It's the newest stadium where the 2024 Super Bowl will be, where they do a lot of great concerts and a lot of great events. It's on the Strip, so you're less than 4.5 miles from it, and you would never get on the freeway to get there. Same thing with T-Mobile Arena, which is where our Vegas Golden Knights play. Again, they have tons of concerts, tons of other events there, and same thing, because it's on the Strip, you're 4.5 miles away. And then over here we have the Thomas and Mack, which is part of UNLV, our local university, and this is where they play basketball. This is where they do a lot of events. This is where they do some of the rodeos here. Rodeos are a big thing here. If you've never been to a rodeo, you will have a blast, because it really is cool. From the middle of Spring Valley to there, you're 6.5 miles, never getting on the freeway. You're taking side streets all the way. Can't beat it. Now, the other really great thing is, let's see. Spring Valley borders Summerlin. This area over here is all of Summerlin, and they share a border. Okay, so all of the things that you want to do in Summerlin, we talk a lot about downtown Summerlin, and right here we have the Las Vegas ballpark, which is where our minor league baseball team plays. You have Red Rock Casino right there. This whole area right here is the downtown Summerlin area. It's a giant outdoor mall. And again, it has the City National Arena, which is where our Vegas Golden Knights train, and you can go there and watch them train. Super close, super easy to get to. Again, you don't have to get on the freeway for just about anything if you live in Spring Valley. It's just really that close and that well suited to everything. Now, the Raiders, even if you wanted to go to the Raiders training facility, right? For the Raiders training facility, you'd probably get on the 15, which is very easy to do, and you'd make your way. So you get on the 215 or the 15, make your way to the 15, and then you'd get off here on a St. Rose exit, and you'd be right here where the Raiders headquarters and training facility is. Super easy to get to. Now, if you wanted to go out and you wanted to take a look at the Speedway, which they do a great Christmas light show there that you actually drive through. A lot of fun. It's very cool and very easy to get to. So for that, what you do is you come here like you were going to the Strip. You'd get on the 15, Tropicana, Flamingo, Spring Mountain, any of those entrances, and you just take it all the way up through North Las Vegas and get off right here, and you're there. Like I said, Vegas is a very easy town to get around. No matter where you live, you can get anywhere in the city pretty much in under a half hour. Our traffic is nothing. We like to complain about it, but it really, especially if you're coming from somewhere else, this is our worst traffic is probably close to your best traffic where you're coming from. But along the 15 right here, this does get a little bit congested. This is where the Strip is. So along that route on the 15, you will find you're going to have a 5, maybe 10 minute delay. The other places here, the Spaghetti Bowl, and this is where the 15, the 95, the 93, and the 515 all interchange. So there is a little bit of congestion there as everybody's merging from one to the other. But again, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes on like the worst day of all time. Not bad at all. You can do it. In addition to that, what we have is the major thoroughfares. The 15, then you have the 95, and that goes cuts across the city here and down through Henderson. And then what we have is the 215, which is our beltway, and that's the coolest one because it takes you around the city and it gets you around the entire area, and you can get just about anywhere and drop off into anything from the 215. And what's even cooler, you see how the 95 cuts up like this? Well, they created Summerlin Parkway, which gives you another easy way, which is basically a freeway. It's small, it's 2 lanes on each side, but traffic, you're 65 plus there all the time, no problems. So like I said, getting around in Las Vegas is very simple. And if you live in Spring Valley, for most of what you're going to do, it's going to be somewhere where you don't need to get on the freeway. Maybe if you go into Henderson, maybe if you go into some of these areas, you would get on the freeway. But for the most part, you really wouldn't get on the freeway if you're doing your general everyday activities. So let's talk about where you would do some of the mall activities, because the malls are important and we like to do a lot of shopping. It's just one of the things that makes life fun. So we already talked about, here's Spring Valley. We already talked about here, and this is downtown Summerlin. You abut Summerlin, so literally you would come up here to the edge, which is Sahara, okay? And you would come up to Sahara, and you would take that up towards the 215, so you take that west, and that's where downtown Summerlin starts, and it goes up to Charleston. So this area right here, you wouldn't have to get on the freeway to get that. To get to the fashion show, which is our big mall that's on the Strip. If you've ever come to the Strip as a tourist, you've probably gone to the fashion show. If you went to the mall here, you would be right there. Again, you are literally, the Spring Mountain is where you would get on. You drive right through Chinatown and right there over the 15, and you're in the parking lot. It's that simple. We also have 2 outlet malls, one at the top of the Strip, which is our outdoor outlet mall, the Premium Outlets, and that's right off basically Charleston and Las Vegas Boulevard. And then at the other end of the Strip, we have the Las Vegas Premium Outlets South, okay? That one is an indoor. So either of those, maybe you could get on the 15 to go up here, maybe, but I wouldn't get on there. I would take the side streets and get there, and you'd get there a lot faster than getting on the 215 to go one exit. Doesn't make much sense when you can just cruise across the side streets and get there. 2-minute difference, maybe. Then right here is Town Square. Now, Town Square is similar to downtown Summerlin, but it's just the mall part of downtown Summerlin. They do have some offices in just the retail and restaurant area. There's just a lot of fun places in Town Square as well. And again, you literally would never get on the freeway to get there. You'd cruise down the side streets and be right there. The only one you may want to get on the freeway for is here, and this is the Sunset Galleria. Now, the Sunset Galleria is a traditional mall, as you would think of a traditional mall, but it would be super easy to get to. So you take any one of these streets, a Decatur, a Buffalo, a Rainbow, and you get onto the 215 right here, and you would make your way on the 215 all the way around and get off, and you can do one of 2 things. You can either take it up to the 95 and take it up this way, or you might be better off getting off on a Sunset and taking it that way and getting to it that way. There's a couple different ways to get there, but literally 20 minutes at the most, maybe a half hour if, gosh forbid there was a ton of traffic, but it's super easy to get to. Nothing here in Vegas is far off. Very easy to get around, get to anything. Now, a couple of the other really cool things here in Spring Valley, and that is you have right here, let me get this. In Spring Valley, you have Wet n Wild. Wet n Wild is awesome. Wet n Wild is a water park it's like a Raging Waters or a Hurricane Harbor, something like that. So we have two different water parks here, Wet and Wild and Cowabunga Bay. Cowabunga Bay is on the east side. Wet and Wild is here on the west side where Spring Valley is. So Wet and Wild is actually in Spring Valley, makes it super easy to get to. You have an IKEA here, which is awesome. Then you have two different Targets here. You have a Target right here on Grand Canyon and Flamingo, and then you have a Target right here on Rainbow and Spring Mountain. So you got two Targets here. You have two different Walmarts. You have your Walmart here, and you have a Walmart here. So wherever you live in Spring Valley, there's a Target or a Walmart close by. You also have Sam's Club right here, right next to this Walmart down here off of Spring Mountain. So they're both in the same parking lot. There's just about everything that you're looking for. Now, let me show you one of the really cool things, and that is right here, this. So if you've seen or heard about Red Rock Casino, or you've seen or heard about Green Valley Ranch, you know that those are one of the Station Casino's premier properties. So those are their resort properties. Those are their upper end properties. Two great properties, one in Summerlin, one in Green Valley / Henderson. What they just did just within the past couple months is they just broke ground on the Station Casinos, broke ground on the Durango Casino and Resort. Now this is going to be their third big upscale property in the area. So why is that important? Well, first of all, it's going to be a great property. It's going to have all the newest things. It's going to have your theaters, your restaurants, your gaming, pools, all of those things that you can use. But what it tells me from the real estate perspective is that they think that this area, the demographics and what's happening out here in the Spring Valley area, is that this area is one of the really up and coming growing areas, and that property values and everything is on the rise in the area, and they wanted to be a part of that. So they're putting a flagship property, their newest flagship property in a long time, they're putting it right here, and it's literally right across the street almost from IKEA. It's just fantastic. Let me tell you, IKEA was a big deal when it came here. When it finally got here, that was a big deal. Look, I've had roots in the Las Vegas area since 1981, so I have seen iteration after iteration of things that have gone on here, and seen how this community has grown and blossomed into what it is today. And it is so much better today than it was, God, 30 years ago. Is it 30? 80, 90, 40 years ago? Did I date myself a little bit? That's okay. Watching this and seeing the growth and seeing where things are being built tells you a little bit about what do they project is going to be happening in the areas. So Spring Valley, there's a lot of really great places. It's maybe a good point and a good spot to be in. All of Spring Valley is really cool. I think that gives you a really good overview of Spring Valley. Look, Spring Valley is a great place to live. I'd love to show you some more of it. If that looks like something that's of interest to you, you know how to get a hold of us. It's in the information below. But I would love to help you figure out where the best place is for you, what you're looking for, and satisfy your wants and needs. So let's cut it there. I thank you for watching. If you choose Spring Valley as where you want to move, I think we can find you a great location, and one that you're going to be happy with for a long time to come. So I'll see you on the next video, or I'll see you in the neighborhood. Thanks.